Hey everyone! Welcome back to Suntrust Acres. I'm Megan. So today on the farm, we are crafting in the kitchen, not baking. I do different sorts of crafts, I suppose you would call them. I call them souvenirs that I make up for my farm stand. We are blessed to live on the Sunshine Coast of British Columbia, so we live right by the ocean, so I can use that to my advantage in my farm stand. So I just wanted to show you today some of the other things that I make and sell that aren't food or food related. Right now I'm setting up and working on sand candles. So this could also be a video for some ideas for you if you live by the ocean, but at the same time you don't have to live by the ocean if you live in the forest. Whatever, you can make up some of these things that I'm going to show you that I make and sell them as souvenirs. So the idea here, let me show you. These are my molds that I make up with sand. This is not sand from the beach. This is sand, play sand from the store. So what I've done is I wet it, and I used just this cup. It's probably it's a 3.5 ounce cup. So it's a decent size, but you can make your mold whatever you want. Any size that you want it to be, whatever you want it to look like. So make sure that you wet your sand, because if you don't wet your sand, well, so I suppose I could say it a different way. You don't have to wet your sand, but if you don't wet your sand, the wax will stick to it more and there'll be more sand left on the outside of your candle. If your sand is nice and wet, it won't stick to the outside and it'll act as a barrier, and it'll cool the wax and it won't pick up as much sand. I hope that makes sense. I also have these little guys here, if you can see that, and I'm hoping that they're like just long enough. I think these are the longest ones that I actually have, so I hope that they're going to be long enough for these candles here. And I'm just going through and popping one of these in the bottom of each, and I will want to make sure that I'm really careful when I start to pour my wax that these stay where I want them to be. So I'm going to put one of those in each of my candles. I'm not even going to place them like exactly where I want them because they're going to move around. I'm just going to put them in. So you might notice that these are at 2 different levels. I wanted to make 2 different size candles, so these ones are going to just be a little short guy and this one will be taller. I actually have never done this one before. I've made lots of sand candles because I used to own a craft store, but and with the brownies and sparks and all that when my kids were young, we did lots of sand candles on the beach, which was always fun. It's kind of broken. So each one of these gets one of those. Each one of your candles gets a wick. Okay, so over here we have our wax melting on the stove over a pot of hot water. And careful that you don't burn yourself with the steam. I've got it set on low. You can't see that, but I'm not moving the camera. So I have it set on a low setting. You don't want to overheat your wax because your wax can catch on fire. I've never had it happen. I've just heard that it can happen. I've used wax a lot. I've even put it on direct heat before and never had it catch on fire. I'm not saying put it on direct heat. Definitely put it over a double boiler, and then you don't have to worry about that happening. And this is a soy beeswax blend. This wax that I have, I get it from a company called Voyager. And they're both a Canadian and an American company. So I really like their products, and I really like this wax. I don't like paraffin wax because it's got chemicals in it and I don't like it. It's not a clean wax. Okay, so some of the things that I have that I've collected off of my beach, off of my local beach, are, I've got some driftwood pieces. I have some various assorted shells. I think you can see those. I have some rocks. It's pretty simple. And then I have some other, these are like pieces of metal. This is like, and they were intriguing to me and interesting. And so I will try to incorporate those into some of my pieces here. And then another thing that I collect from the beach, which there's always a lot of, this is pieces of bark. Now I collected these in the fall, so they've had some time to dry out. And I'm just going to show you how you take and put these into your candles. So the shells are pretty simple. You can either push them in sideways like this, whoop, and then have it fall out. Like that. I hope that you could see that there, what I was doing. Pieces of driftwood. I would just roll up my sleeves here. It depends on how you want these to look in your candle. Like, you can have it so that they like stick out of the side, or if you just push it up against the side, the candle will, or the wax rather, will attach to whatever your thing is, and then when you pull it out of the mold, it'll be attached to your candle, if that makes sense. So this guy here, I'm just gonna stick to the side. You also want to make sure that your mold stays nice and packed and that there's no cracks, because if there's cracks, then when you go to pour your wax, you're going to end up with the wax following and going into that crack. I'm actually finding that I don't have as much stuff as I thought I did to do this with. I'm going to move that out of my way. And I might need to take a trip to the beach. It's like a 5-minute walk down the road from my house. So I do have lots of rocks though. So and the fun thing about this is that you never really know what it's going to look like until you take it and unmold it. So the way that we always used to do this in like brownies and sparks, I think my wax is probably done there, is you go down to the beach where the sand is and you make a hole and pack it all in, and then you collect some things from the beach and you stick it in there and you pour your wax in. You have to bring something with you to heat your wax, obviously. But that's how we always used to do these. So then I'll take my wick and I'll try and push it down inside so that hopefully it'll stay standing when we go to pour our wax. Now, because I sell these, I have to make sure that my wick and everything all works properly and that the candle will actually burn, because that's the whole point of this. So that's one for some ideas for what you can put in. So I'm going to finish getting these guys all made up, and then I will show you how to pour the wax. This is not my ideal way of doing this, but we're going to give it a go and see how it works. So you want to pour gently and fill it all the way to the top, but don't go over. Don't want it to pour out. Whoops. Nope, I'll have to straighten that little guy. I wasn't sure how much wax I was going to need, so I may need to heat some more. Actually, I definitely am going to need to heat some more. Okay, there. I should be able to get that bowl out of there now. And then I just go back through, make sure that these guys are standing up straight. If they're not straight, they're not going to burn properly. You may have to fuss around with them a little to get them where you want them. I do not know what my chicks are doing behind me right now, but it's something. What have you guys got? Okay, that one. I melted the wax on the wick a little bit. Anyway, so I'm going to have to melt some more wax, but you saw the process. I hope, because I was recording, right? Yeah. And I hope that I wasn't standing in the way. I don't think so. I hope you got to see it. Well, I'll look back on it. So you just go through all of your molds and do that, and then you let them set. They're going to take a while to cool all the way down before you want to pull them out, so I would give them a couple of hours to cool. And we'll come back here in a couple of hours once all of these have been poured, and I'll show you how to remove them and how to clean off the outsides, and we'll see how they turned out. So this is what I'm dealing with while I'm trying to make candles. These are our 5 turkeys. And they were in their cage and they were making a ton of noise, so I decided it was time to let them out for a bit. They like to run around and, oh, poop on the floor. Yeah, so I get to walk around after them and pick that up. Hi guys. They like you, but they don't like you. They're really funny. Like, they want to be close to you, but they don't want you to touch them. I don't know what they've discovered over there under the sink. Could be anything. Quite possibly a spider. Yeah. This is life in at Suntwist Acres. They're hilarious, I tell you. They're really, really funny little birds. Okay, so what I did want to show you also is you can see how these parts, like that part there, has sunken in. So the way that I do it is I fill it with wax and then I let it dry or cool, and it'll sink down, and then I'll go back over with some more wax and cover over the tops like I've done with these ones here. I think these are ready to unmold. They feel pretty good. And now is the moment of truth, you guys. This is where we hope when we pull this out that all the things that we stuck in there stuck and stay in the candle. We should just be able to pull it out, but I'm worried about it. And what I do, I'll go run and grab my, I have a little paintbrush. And as this dries, because the sand on the outside of it will dry, more of the sand will come off. So I just take my paintbrush. Like I said, as it dries, I'm making a mess on my other candles. This will come off easier because it'll be dry. And then you can brush them off, but I'm just showing you this for the sake of the video. So you can see how you do that. Like I said, I would unearth all of these first. And try not to get the sand all over the top. It doesn't really matter. And we could have gone through. So what you can also do is on the tops of these, before it finishes completely hardening, you can put a couple of shells or a piece of beach glass. That might just end up down inside there, but you can see that you can add some other things to the top if you want. And then people will think that they've got this wonderful little gift because they got some beach glass or whatever once it all burns down and burns away. So I'm just gonna loosen all these up. You can also see how this spilled out while I was pouring it. That happens because this is soy. It's really slippery and it doesn't want to pull out. So I'm just going to loosen each of these like this. And those ones obviously are not ready for this stage yet. So now that they've been loosened, something's going on outside. My dogs think they're going to go check it out. Anyways, so there you go. I'll show you some pictures of these when they're all done. But that's what I'm doing today. And you can see how... I can't imagine my husband's home, but he could be. He's shocked me before. So you can see how you've got pieces of bark in there, and it just looks really cool. It's a really neat little thing to make and for people to get to take home. And like I said, I'll show you these once I've cleaned them all up and gotten the sand off of them and they've hardened and dried a little bit. And I'll show you how I label them. So cute!